Alright guys, in this video we're going to be doing adding and subtracting polynomials. Alright, it's really important that you again get this skill down because I will not be coming back to doing addition and subtraction for some time. The majority of a lot of things in this particular unit, which is unit 6, we're going to be doing a lot of multiplying and then factoring is what's going to be happening this week. So please make sure, please, that you're good with addition, you're good with subtraction, and then of course the base level of multiplying, which will be in the next video. Okay, so some of my suggestions for you as you watch this video is, again, write the problem along with me, hit pause, and then try to solve the problem out ahead of me, and then hit play so you can see if you got the same answer I got, and you can see the steps. Okay, so again, do not take notes with the video. What you want to do is you want to try some of these problems because you've been introduced to it. So pause the video here and there and then work it out and then check yourself. All right, here we go. So the first one we're going to do, and I am going to alternate between addition and subtraction, is we have 5p squared minus 3, close parentheses, plus, and then our next binomial is this one here. Okay, so as you can see, you see that addition symbol that's in between these two binomials. Remember I told you a binomial is when you have two terms, right? And then of course there's bases and of course these higher powers like squared to the third power to the fourth power. But there are two terms that make up that expression, and that's a binomial. If there are three terms, we call it a trinomial. And if it's four or more terms, then it is a polynomial. Okay? All right, so here we go. So all you do, here are the steps. Step 1 is you first want to identify the highest degree, okay, on your variable. So in this case, our variable is p, and the highest power that we see is that 3. So we have that negative 3p to the third power. All right, so as you can, when you look at this, you notice he's the only one of his type. So there's no one to combine him with, so we're just going to drop him down. Okay, and then that's it. So once you identify the highest degree power, and I can write that degree power or exponent, you just go ahead and, again, if there's no one else to combine with him, then you're just going to leave him. All right. Now, what I should have put before starting the problem is step 2. So let me go ahead and write that right here. Once you identify the highest degree power, the next thing you need to do is do grouping. And when I say grouping, I'm saying that you want to combine like terms. So anyone who looks identical to someone else, you want to group them together. All right. So basically, look at our p squared terms. So we have plus 2p squared, and then notice in this parentheses we have a 5p squared. So I'm going to group those two together. So if I have 5p squared plus 2p squared, again, these are like terms, so you want to grouping like terms. And then the last step, step number 3, is we want to apply the rule of integers. And I can't stress to you enough, you guys, I've been asking, even from the fall semester, but you have to know those rule of integers. Okay, so please make sure that you spend some time and look at the videos I've done on that. And I can go ahead, if you would like me to, and put it in my teacher notes for this unit. Okay? All right, so here we go. We have 5p squared plus 2p squared. That's 7p squared. And then, now that I've taken care of the p squares, and then I have that negative 3p to the third, this is the only one that looks with that power, then there's the negative 3. All right, and now we're done. We're going to put it all together. So we have negative 3p to the third plus 7p squared minus 3. That's the answer. Okay, easy, easy. All right, let's go to the next one. For the next problem, I'm going to stay with addition, and then I'll do 2 subtractions. Okay, so for this one, again, feel free to pause after you write the problem down. See if you get the same thing I get. All right, so again, step number 1, identify your highest power, which I see is into the third. I also notice in step number 2, I want to group and combine like terms. Let me also put that right there. Combine like terms. So then I am going to have to combine those two because they both have an n to the third power, n to the third power. And then after that, I'm going to apply the rule of integers to all those groups that are like terms. All right, so we're going to have 2n to the third, or 2n cubed, plus 5n cubed. That is 7n cubed. And then the next thing I'm thinking about is, do I have any n squares? N to the second power? I don't. Do I have any just n's, which is n to the 1 power? I don't. So all that's left here are the constants. 4 plus 2 is 6. We're done. The answer is 7n to the third plus 6. All right, that's it. It's that simple. Okay, so now let's move on and let's do 2 subtractions, and then I'll come back and do 2 additions, and I'll just keep alternating that way. Okay, here are a problem for subtraction, and I really want to stress this, so everybody listen very carefully to what I'm about to say. I think the thing that gets everyone really confused is that they think, oh, okay, I want to put 3a squared, and then I want to put this minus 2a squared to multiply these two together, right? It's really important that you understand that we're just going to combine like terms on the coefficients, and these terms are going to stay the same, okay? So again, step 1 is, now this one's different because we're doing subtraction. So I'm going to use another color for a second. Remember the first step when you're doing subtraction, you have to put that 1 in front of the parentheses, okay? Again, this is a negative 1, so we have to apply the distributive property. So let's outline our steps. So step 1, that's an E. Step 1, apply the distributive property. Oh my gosh, I can't spell today. Distribute. Apply the distributive property. And again, how we apply the distributive property is, again, you place a 1, okay, in front of the parentheses. All right, in front of parentheses. And again, there is a negative already there, so this is a negative 1. So you apply the distributive property, okay, which means you're going to multiply. And then step 2, you're going to drop all the terms down, and then this is where you go back to just doing what? Grouping and combining like terms. Grouping, and I'm going to just abbreviate CLT. Remember, this is combine like terms. Here we go. And then that's pretty much it. So let's do this problem. Ready? I'm going to move up a little bit. Remember that those arrows mean to multiply. So I have, again, there's nothing to do to this parentheses, so we have 3a squared plus 1. Then I have negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Negative 1 times 2a squared is negative 2a squared. Okay, we'll go from here. Now what I'm going to do, now that I've applied the distributive property and I distributed that negative 1 by multiplication to those two terms, now I'm going to do my grouping and combine like terms. So this guy, and of course include the sign, okay? If there's a negative in the front, include it in your coefficient. So we have 3a squared minus 2a squared is just a 1a squared. You don't have to write the 1. And then, of course, I'm going to use another shape. These two are like terms. So we have 1 minus 4, which is negative 3, and then we're done. A squared minus 3 is the answer. Done. All right, let's do another one. Okay, and I am going to get a lot more trickier. These are just the base level, with just binomials. We are going to see trinomials and all that good stuff. So let me do one more binomial. So what happens if I have something like 3x to the fourth minus 3x minus 3x minus 3x to the fourth? Okay, so again, step number 1, let's put a 1 in front of here, which means there's a negative 1, and begin to apply the distributive property. Okay, so you're going to multiply. Now remember, you could just drop these terms down. Okay, we always do math, go back to the left. And now I will begin to change the signs on these two terms. So negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 3x to the fourth becomes a plus 3x to the fourth. All right, and here we go. So now when we combine like terms, notice our highest degree here is x to the fourth. So I'm grouping them, 3x to the fourth plus 3x to the fourth. You should get 6x to the fourth. Again, do not do anything to these powers or exponents. Go ahead and write it down and just evaluate the rule of integers on the coefficients, the numbers in the front. Okay, got to be clear on that. All right. Now, negative 3x minus 3x is negative 6x. So the final answer to this problem is 6x to the fourth minus 6x. And we're done. All right. So again, those were binomials with binomials. We did addition and subtraction. Now, the next problems I'm going to do are going to be trinomials, where there are 3 in parentheses. And then the last thing is I'll end on 2 problems or 3 where there's combinations of addition and subtraction. Okay, so here we go. So now let's look at trinomials adding together with other trinomials. So this is addition. What if I have 9r to the third plus 5r squared plus 11r plus negative 2r to the third plus 9r minus 8r squared. Okay, get all that on the screen. Give me 1 second. So for this particular problem, right, you notice that you have 1, 2, 3 terms in the parentheses. So again, this is just going to kind of write on top of it, this is a trinomial because there are 3 terms. All right, so the steps or rules do not change. Remember, step 1 is to find the highest power, begin your grouping, and combine like terms, and then that's pretty much it. Simplify the expression. So the first thing, I'm going to use different colors. Our highest degree here is r to the third, and then I look through this parentheses and I say, hey, there's another r to the third or r cubed term, and we're going to group those together and combine like terms. So 9r to the third minus 2r to the third is 7r to the third, or again, another word you hear me say for it to the third power is cubed. If I say to the second power, another way to say that is squared. Okay, now let's look at our r squared terms. So we have 5r squared, and then we have negative 8r squared, negative 3r squared. Okay, and also I can put another color just so y'all can see that. Now let's look at our r term. So we have this 11r plus 9r. Do not forget to write the variable onto the number. So this is again 20r. Final answer is going to be 7r cubed minus 3r squared plus 20r is the final answer. All right, good deal on that. All right, let's do another addition with a trinomial. Go back and show that just in case. That's the answer. All right, let's go now to still doing addition. What happens if they give us this one right here? Negative x to the fourth plus 13x to the fifth plus 6x cubed oops, I didn't mean to close it. Guys, put a plus here, please, and then 7x to the fourth. Then close it. So there's a little bit of typo there. This is a plus sign. All right, so now let's look for our highest power, which is this x to the fifth, x to the fifth. So we'll group those two together. 13x to the fifth plus 5x to the fifth is 18x to the fifth. Took care of that. Now let's look for x to the fourth. And I notice that I have a negative x to the fourth there. And again, this is a plus 7x to the fourth. So I'll group those together. And then what will happen for this one is 7 minus 1 is 6x to the fourth. And then we have these two x to the thirds. So 6x to the third plus 6x to the third is 12x to the third. Pretty easy. Final answer, 18x to the fifth plus 6x to the fourth plus 12x cubed. Doesn't get any easier than that. All right, now let's talk about subtraction. These are the ones that give a lot of us quite a few problems. So let's see how. You just have to watch that -1. Okay, so let's look at this one. 9r to the third plus 5r squared plus 11r minus, and let's do -5r to the third plus 9r, minus 8r squared. Okay, so again, the first thing we have to do is put that 1 in front of the back parentheses. This is a -1, and then begin to do the distributive property. So you're multiplying that -1 to each of those 3 terms. So now we're going to drop these terms down. Don't do anything. They're not like terms, right? This is r to the third, r squared, and r. You cannot combine those. So we're just going to write them down just like they are. And then here I'm going to begin to multiply. So -1 times -5r cubed is plus 5r cubed. -1 times 9r is -9r. And this becomes a plus 8r squared. Right? So now we will begin to combine our two r to the third power. So 9 plus 5 is 14. Don't forget to put r cubed. And then for the 5r squared and 8r squared, we get 13. R squared. And then of course if we do 11r minus 9r, that's a positive 2r. Done. Okay, that's how easy it is. Okay, let me see if I can squeeze one more down at the bottom. No, it's okay. I'll go to another sheet of paper. Okay, let's find another one with a subtraction. Let's try this one. Okay, so what if they gave us 14 s to the fourth Okay, we'll just write the problem down real quick. Okay, so again, and I know I read off the paper, put your negative for the -1. We're going to multiply, and I'm going to do this one pretty quick. So just drop down 14s to the 4th plus 11s squared. The rest of the video. So just to get these done tonight. I ran a fever most of yesterday and today, so I'm up now, and I'm going to finish this off for you guys. And I'll also show you that I've uploaded some PDFs that you can refer to over addition, subtraction, multiplying for more practice, and I'll just show you those at the end of this video. Alright, here we go. So we left off from here, so this becomes a positive 14, and then -1 times 5p to the 5th becomes a negative 5p to the 5th. -1 times -11p squared becomes a plus. Remember, the sign just changes. And then very quickly, the highest power that I see is this p to the 5, so I'm just going to drop it down and put -9s to the 5th. Oh my goodness, and then I should have looked more carefully. There was one here, guys, and here. So I can tell you right now that's wrong. Those of you that caught that, if you paused it. So -9s to the 5th minus 5s to the 5th is -14s to the 5th. And then s to the 4th, there's only one of that type, so there's a plus 14s to the 4th. And then for the s squared, I'm going to put this in. What did I do? I really think that I was sleepy, and I put p's and s's. So guys, I'm sorry about that. This should have been s's. Don't ask me why I started to put p's, and they should be s's. It's because I think I chose to change the letters from the original problem, but when my eye looked at it, I wrote a P. Sorry about this. These are S's. Let's just keep going. It's the same concept, okay? These are S's, not P's. So again, this is 11s squared and another 11s squared. That adds for 22. s to the second power. And then all that leaves is this plus 14 is the only constant. So this is the final answer. Again, they should have been s's. So negative 14s to the fifth plus 14s to the fourth, 22s squared plus 14. Okay, now is the last part of the video. I want to show what happens if there's a combination of addition and subtraction symbols. So let's look at this one. Again, after you write the problem with me, you can pause me and then try it on your own, and then press play to see if you got the right answer as I did. Okay, these are slightly longer, so I gotta squeeze them in for UV right there. Okay, so turn the music on for a second. Okay, so for this one, as you notice, there's no negative in front of these parentheses. So basically, we just start combining like terms and grouping, okay? So the highest power I see, remember when you have multiple variables, it's alphabetized. So U comes before V in the alphabet. So we're looking for U squared. So as I look at these terms, here's a U squared. And then that's the only one of its type. So I'm just going to put negative 2 U squared. And then, of course, we're going to go to look at the UV variables because U and then V is together. So there's one of this type. Okay, and then there is another one over here. So we're going to combine those two. And again, 4 minus 2 is a positive 2 UV. Okay, then we're going to go to... Let me see who's next. Yeah, this was only U squared. Well, here's U. And between you and me, we should have did U squared, and then the U goes next to the 1 power, and then UV, but it's okay. So there's only one U term. And again, now I'm looking for V squared, and there's 3 of them. So there's this negative V squared. There's this positive V squared, and then I know that if this is a negative 1, guys, and this is a plus 1, these two will cancel out. So that's 0. So all that leaves me is this negative 9 V squared. So just remember that on ones like this that are a lot longer, take your time, be very careful looking at your bases and your powers, okay? So now let's look at the next one. I'm going to do another addition, and then I'll do a subtraction, and then an addition and subtraction, and then that'll be the end of the video. Okay, so how about this one?
But yeah, we gotta watch out. I'll send you a picture.
Okay, guys, I have myself on mute. So I just want to do this problem in silence, but the biggest thing I want you to see is that look very carefully at the base and the power, and it has to be identical, right? So the U to the third, V to the fourth, U to the third, V to the fourth, and then there's these two terms that are U, and this is the only one of its type, so I put it in green, U to the second, V to the second. And then again, this also is the only one of its type. You can't tell, but there's like a purple cloud. But then I found another U to the third, V to the fourth. Okay, so I'm going to finish solving this right here and do my grouping and combine like terms. And that's it. Okay, so on this one, again, this right here was negative 5 minus 5, which is negative 10. Negative 10, oh, I see that I messed up. Negative 10 plus 8 is going to make a negative 2. So let me change this, guys. This is a negative 2. Sorry about that. This is a negative 2, U to the third. Let me write it down here. Negative 2, U to the third, V to the fourth. But all these are correct because 9 minus 8 is a 1, U. And then this term stays like it is, and then this term. Okay, So again, it's negative 2u to the third. All right, so now let me go ahead, and I think I've done 2 additions. Well, 1 addition, and it has more terms in it. But now let me show you one that has subtraction. Okay, so I have 4x squared Okay, again, I'm going to run out of some room because they're very long and I write pretty big. Negative 10x. So notice in this problem, there are 2 negatives, one there, one there. So right in the front, again, let's put that -1 there. We're going to do the distributive property. And then a -1 here, and I'm going to do the distributive property and change the signs. Okay, so basically what we have here is we're going to drop these 2 terms down, and I have 4x squared plus 7x to the third y squared, but then this becomes right here -1 times -6 plus 6x. This becomes a plus 7x cubed y squared, and then a plus 4x, and then again -1 times this 10x is a negative 10x, and then -1 times that 9x squared is a negative 9x squared. And I got all my terms there. All right, so very carefully we'll zoom in. And again, we're just going to be really careful on our like terms. So first I'm going to look at this x squared, put it in purple. And I'm looking, and there's one over here. So I'm going to end up grouping those together. In red, let's put and I'll put a rectangle around the x cubed y squared, like that. And then in green, I'll do a triangle. Here, this one has an x, and then right here is an x. See that? All right, and I've run out of paper. We'll try to squeeze it in. So let's combine our purple clouds. So again, 4, we're doing the rule of integers. 4 minus 9 is -5x squared. So I'm going to squeeze this in, -5x squared. Right now, I'm not going to worry about the order, okay? But again, we would, x comes before y, and x to the third power would have actually been the term to put in the front. I'll go ahead and fix it. Okay, here, this is 14x cubed y squared minus 5x squared.
Like, yeah. But I'm definitely going to send it from like a weird number.
Okay, I noticed that I did the 10x and then minus 10x. See, this is 0. So what's going to happen is these two, 10 minus 10 is 0. Everybody see that? So the final answer is right here. That's the final answer. Because again, this was 6x plus 4x is 10x. 10x minus 10 is 0. This is gone. That's the final answer. All right, so I hope that one makes sense. I'm going to do one more, and then I will stop the video here. What happens if it has a combination of both addition and subtraction? So y cubed minus, I'll just write the problem down.
That's awesome. Yeah, it snowed today.
Solve this one.
Was it?
So as you can see, I found 3 terms that are x to the 4th power, y to the 4th power. It's just really important that you pay really close attention to those powers that are on those bases. And then of course this one is x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Okay, so I don't know, I'll put a cloud around here in pink. And so right here. There's someone talking in the back, guys. Alright, so here we go. Again, we know x comes before y, and the proper way to put this in order is we're going to do x to the 4th power, y to the 3rd, because the higher degree is on the x. So we'll combine -10 minus 1, right? That's going to be -11. So let's put -11 x to the 4th, y to the 3rd. Now, I just realized, look at the purple boxes. Notice how these also are x to the fourth, y to the fourth. This is actually the one that should go in the front because, again, both of those degrees are the highest on the x and y. So if I have -7 plus 4, that's -3, and then -3 minus 6 is -9. So we're going to put -9 x to the fourth, y to the fourth. Notice I leave that minus sign there because, again, when I added these two together, it was -11. I think what I see happen to a lot of people is they leave spaces for the pluses or the plus sign. So just pay really close attention to what we're doing, okay? Last term is this y to the third, and again, 6 plus 1 is 7. And that's it for this video, all right? So just to be clear, this was adding and subtracting polynomials. I know it's very lengthy. Watch it in pieces. And then also, I just want to show this real quick. Know that in Teams, depending on what your tile is, I went ahead and made a Unit 6 folder under the File section. And I uploaded all of those PDFs that we did last week. And here's some practice PDFs that you can look at. And then I'm going to go ahead and make the multiplying polynomial video. All right, guys? So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hope you're bundling up and stay warm.